Gene Kelly stared at the photograph in his trembling hands. It showed him laughing at a dinner party 6 months ago, completely unaware that FBI agents were watching from across the room. The man sitting next to him in the photo was now in federal prison. Special Agent Sterling slid another picture across the metal table. "Recognize this one, Mr. Kelly?" This time it was worse. Gene with his arm around Paul Robeson at a concert. Both men smiling like old friends. Which they were. Which was now apparently a crime. These meetings weren't accidents. Were they? Sterling's voice cut through the stale air of Room 237. Kelly realized they had been building a case against him for over a year. Every handshake, every dinner, every conversation. All documented. All weaponized. The clock on the wall read 2:30 p.m. In 3 hours, Kelly was supposed to be at MGM rehearsing dance numbers. Instead, he was about to learn whether his career would survive the next 30 minutes. Sterling opened a thick manila folder. Inside were at least 50 more photographs. "Before we continue, Mr. Kelly, I need to ask you something." His pen hovered over a legal pad. "Do you consider yourself a patriot?" The question hung in the air like a noose. Kelly understood that his answer wouldn't just determine his future. It would decide the fate of every friend whose loyalty was now in question. How do you defend people you love when friendship itself has become evidence of treason? 2 years earlier, Gene Kelly had been America's golden boy, MGM's biggest star, the face of post-war optimism. Now he was staring at evidence that could destroy everything he had built. But how had it come to this? The transformation of Hollywood had been swift and brutal. One day, writers and directors were celebrated artists. The next, they were hauled before congressional committees, forced to confess sins they may not have committed. The industry watched in terror as the Hollywood 10 were blacklisted, their names erased from credits as if they had never existed. Kelly had thought his fame would protect him. He was wrong. The first warning came in January 1947, a quiet word from his agent. "Gene, maybe stay away from certain parties for a while." Kelly had laughed it off. He was a dancer, not a political activist. What could they possibly want with him? Everything. As it turned out, Charlie Chaplin had been Kelly's first mistake. 3 dinner parties at the Little Tramp's house. Innocent gatherings that were now documented evidence of communist association. But Kelly didn't know about the photographers hidden in the bushes. Didn't know that his laughter was being recorded as evidence of sedition. Then came Orson Welles. Kelly had publicly praised the young genius. Had been photographed with him at premieres. In normal times, this would be called networking. In 1947, it was called collaboration with the enemy. But the final nail in Kelly's coffin was his friendship with Paul Robeson. The magnificent singer and actor had been Kelly's friend since their Broadway days. They had shared stages, shared drinks, shared dreams of an America where talent mattered more than politics. Now Robeson was persona non grata, his passport revoked, his name toxic. Yet Kelly had attended one of Robeson's concerts as recently as January. The FBI had photographs of that too. The phone call that summoned Kelly to the federal building came on a Tuesday morning, not to Kelly directly. That would have been too obvious. Instead, it traveled through a carefully constructed chain. FBI to studio executive, to agent, to Kelly. The message was simple but terrifying. Routine conversation about patriotic activities. Everyone in Hollywood knew what routine conversation meant. Careers ended in that building. Kelly spent 3 sleepless nights preparing for questions that couldn't be answered safely. How do you defend friendships without admitting guilt? How do you protect the people you care about when loyalty itself has become suspicious? Sitting across from Agent Sterling, surrounded by photographs that turned his life into evidence, Kelly realized there was no safe answer. There was only the choice between 2 kinds of betrayal. "Mr. Kelly." Sterling's voice was conversational, almost friendly. That made it more terrifying. "Your associations concern us." He spread more photographs across the table like a poker hand. Kelly with Chaplin. Kelly with Welles. Kelly with Robeson. Kelly with writers who were now blacklisted. Directors who were now unemployable. Artists whose only crime was believing in things that made powerful people nervous. These aren't just friendships. Are they? Sterling continued. These are ideological alliances. Kelly felt anger rise in his throat. These men weren't conspirators. They were artists, dreamers, people who believed that art could make the world better. Since when had hope become subversive? Agent Sterling, Kelly said carefully. I choose my friends based on their character, not their politics. Sterling made a note. Every word Kelly spoke was being recorded. Analyzed, turned into evidence for or against him. Character is revealed through choices, Mr. Kelly. And your choices show a pattern. The word pattern hit Kelly like a physical blow. It wasn't just about individual friendships anymore. They were alleging systematic involvement in anti-American activities. They were building a case for conspiracy. What kind of pattern? Kelly asked. Though he already knew the answer would damn him, Sterling smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. The pattern of a man who consistently associates with enemies of the state, who publicly supports communist sympathizers, who uses his platform to promote un-American values. He leaned forward. Tell me, Mr. Kelly, what should we conclude from this pattern? The silence stretched for 30 seconds. Kelly could hear his own heartbeat. Sterling was waiting for him to crack, to offer names, to save himself by destroying others. Then Sterling opened a second folder. This one was thicker. Mr. Kelly, we have testimony from 3 Hollywood figures who attended the same parties you did. They have been very cooperative. Sterling's smile returned. They have confirmed your presence at meetings where anti-American sentiments were expressed. Kelly felt the blood drain from his face. Someone had already talked. Someone had already thrown him under the bus to save their own career. Who? Kelly asked, though he immediately regretted giving Sterling that satisfaction. That is classified, but I can tell you this. Your friends aren't as loyal as you think they are. This was the moment Kelly had dreaded. The moment when friendship became evidence, when association became guilt, when knowing talented people became a crime against patriotism. But it was also the moment when he discovered something about himself that would define the rest of his life. He wasn't going to break Agent Sterling. Kelly said, his voice steady for the first time since entering the room. The only pattern I see is a man who appreciates talent and values friendship. If that makes me un-American, then maybe we have different definitions of what America means. The room went dead silent. Sterling's pen stopped moving. His smile disappeared. For the first time in the interview, Kelly had said something the agent wasn't prepared for. Mr. Kelly, I don't think you understand the seriousness of your situation. But Kelly did understand. He understood that this was bigger than his career, bigger than Hollywood, bigger than any individual friendship. This was about whether America would remain a place where diverse voices could create something beautiful together, or whether fear would reduce it to a nation of informants and cowards. I understand perfectly, Kelly said. You want me to destroy my friends to save myself. Sterling's mask of professional courtesy finally slipped. I want you to prove your loyalty to your country by betraying the people I care about. Sterling reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a single sheet of paper. He slid it across the table with deliberate slowness. This is a prepared statement. Mr. Kelly, it acknowledges your past associations were naive mistakes. It expresses regret for any appearance of disloyalty, and it provides names of individuals whose communist sympathies pose a threat to American security. Kelly stared at the paper without touching it. At the bottom was a signature line waiting for his pen. Sign this, and your troubles disappear. Your career continues. MGM keeps you under contract. You go back to making movies that celebrate American values. Sterling leaned back in his chair. All you have to do is tell the truth about what you witnessed at those parties. The paper sat between them like a loaded gun. And if I don't sign? Sterling shrugged. Hollywood is a small town. Mr. Kelly, word gets around about who can be trusted and who can't. Kelly stood up slowly. His dancer's training had taught him that sometimes the most powerful statement was made not with words, but with movement. Every step toward the door was a choice. Every gesture a declaration of who he intended to be. At the threshold, he turned back. Agent Sterling, I have spent my career celebrating what makes America great. joy, creativity, the freedom to be different. If you think those are un-American values, then maybe you are the one with the loyalty problem. The door closed behind him with a sound that felt like the end of one life and the beginning of another. The hallway outside room 237 stretched endlessly in both directions. Kelly walked slowly, his footsteps echoing off marble floors that had witnessed the destruction of countless careers. Behind every closed door, he imagined other interrogations taking place. Writers, directors, actors, all facing the same impossible choice between principle and survival. At the elevator, Kelly pressed the down button and waited. The brass doors reflected his face back at him, pale and hollow-eyed. He looked like a man who had aged 10 years in 2 hours. The elevator arrived with a soft ding. As the doors opened, Kelly found himself face to face with someone he recognized. Character actor Edward Bromberg, one of the Hollywood 10. Bromberg's eyes were red-rimmed, his suit wrinkled. He had clearly just finished his own session upstairs. Neither man spoke. They rode down in perfect silence. Two artists who understood exactly what the other had just endured. When the doors opened at the lobby level, Bromberg touched Kelly's shoulder gently. "Whatever you did in there," he whispered, "I hope it was worth it." Bromberg disappeared into the crowd of government workers, leaving Kelly alone with the terrible knowledge that he might never see the man again. In 6 months, Bromberg would be dead, destroyed not by bullets or disease, but by the slow poison of a blacklist that made him unemployable in the only profession he had ever known. Kelly pushed through the heavy glass doors and stepped into the Los Angeles sunshine. The world outside looked exactly the same as when he had entered 3 hours ago, but everything was different now. Kelly's hands were shaking so badly he couldn't start his car. He sat in the federal building parking lot for 20 minutes, watching FBI agents come and go through the glass doors. Any one of them could have been assigned to follow him home. The drive back to Beverly Hills felt like a funeral procession. Every car behind him seemed suspicious. Every pedestrian looked like a potential informant. The Hollywood Kelly had known, glamorous, welcoming, built on dreams, suddenly felt like enemy territory. He pulled into his driveway and noticed his neighbor, screenwriter David Manning, watering his garden. Manning had been friendly for years, always ready with a wave and small talk about the weather. Today, Manning looked up, made eye contact with Kelly, then deliberately turned away and walked into his house. Word was already spreading. Kelly sat in his car, staring at his own front door, and realized that win or lose, nothing would ever be the same again. The FBI hadn't just questioned his loyalty, they had poisoned his entire world with suspicion. Even if his career survived, every friendship would now carry the weight of political calculation. Every conversation would be measured for dangerous content. He had defended his principles in room 237, but the cost was just beginning to reveal itself. In Hollywood, perception was reality. And the perception was that Gene Kelly was now a risk. The question wasn't whether he could survive what happened in that room. The question was whether he could survive what happened after he left it. In the weeks that followed, Kelly waited for the hammer to fall. He expected his contracts to be canceled, his phone to stop ringing, his name to disappear from Hollywood's golden circle. Instead, something unexpected happened. MGM stood by him. Louis B. Mayer, for all his flaws, wasn't about to sacrifice his biggest star to political hysteria. The studio executives were nervous, but they recognized that Kelly's clean image and obvious patriotism made him too valuable to lose. But the victory came with a price that would haunt Kelly for decades. Paul Robeson never spoke to him again. Not because of anger, but because Kelly's career survival required distance from anyone too controversial. Their friendship became a casualty of Kelly's choice to remain in Hollywood. Charlie Chaplin left America permanently in 1952. His genius, no longer welcome in the country that had celebrated him. Kelly attended a small private farewell gathering, but it was careful and unrecorded. Orson Welles continued working, but Kelly found excuses to avoid being photographed with him. Every public appearance was now calculated. Every association weighed for political risk. Kelly never spoke publicly, about that day in room 237. But those who knew him well noticed changes in his work. His characters carried deeper melancholy, harder-earned wisdom about the cost of standing for principles in a complicated world. Years later, when Kelly's FBI file was declassified, it revealed that agents had monitored him for nearly a decade after that meeting. They attended his premieres, noted his donations, tracked his movements, but they never found what they were looking for, because there was nothing to find except an artist who believed friendship was more powerful than fear. The manila folder that had seemed so threatening in 1947 eventually disappeared into government archives, forgotten by everyone except the man it had tried to break. Gene Kelly kept dancing, kept creating, kept believing in an America big enough for complicated friendships and diverse voices. In the end, that may have been the most subversive act of all.